Happy Sunday, everybody. It is June 6th of 2021, and I wanted to bring you a quick Bitcoin cryptocurrency market update, and we're going to share the screen here real quick so we can get into this. And as you know, I am not a technical analyst. I'm an investor. I'm an opportunistic investor. So what I do is I look at the analysis of others. I follow the best in the industry out there. I look at their technical analysis and make my investing decisions based on that when it comes to markets. And when it comes to real estate or businesses, I use my own due diligence resources and analysis there to make my decisions. But when it comes to markets, I am not a technical analyst when it comes to the charts. I understand trends. I follow trends. I invest with trends. I am a momentum investor. The trend is your friend, as you've heard me say. A lot of people talking about this death cross that's looming. We will see how that holds true and what the real effects of that are, and whether or not that's like a lagging indicator. Sometimes I think those are lagging indicators where the actual move comes a couple of days after those intersections, up or down, and you've seen people talk about that. So I'm not really going to go over that. I'm just going to talk about something else, actually, because there's a lot of speculation out there of what this is going to do and the Wyckoff accumulation and things like that. And one thing to understand when it comes to the Wyckoff model, there's a website out there. If you Google Wyckoff accumulation, you'll see this site come up that is called school.stockcharts.com. That's hard to say, school.stockcharts.com, where they talk about Wyckoff and who he is. And it goes over the philosophy and the system and the Wyckoff principles and schematics. And, you know, this is something that takes years and years of study and practice to, number one, be able to spot it, number two, to be able to deploy it, number three, to be able to use it to your advantage. So it's not something that you can just read over and just apply everything to everything. And what you have to understand is these schematics and all of these things here, these are not meant to be taken as actual diagrams to be deployed into a chart and say, hey, it's supposed to look exactly like this. What these are is principles, not patterns. So understand what I just said. So the Wyckoff accumulation, the Wyckoff distribution, and the different phases, okay, these are not meant to be used like this one right here. A lot of people are putting this on top of the Bitcoin market right now, trying to line it up exactly. And I know it looks pretty close, but this is not meant to be used and taken as a pattern that has to be applied pretty much exactly as it looks. These are principles. These are principles of the strategy that are deployed. And this kind of shows you how the principles can kind of play out, but these are just randomly drawn lines. So it's not going to play exactly like this shows, and it's not necessarily going to move up, distribute across the top, which we did have that distribution area here. And where the accumulation took place earlier in the year, maybe even from September 2020 on, when the August, September, when this bull market began on, and the accumulation could even take place a little bit on the way up, but at a point it gets distributed across the top to create liquidity to re-enter at a lower basis. And I talk a lot about what opportunistic investors do, what some of the most successful traders do and investors is they buy low, they sell high, then they buy low again, and they sell high. So they accumulate, distribute, reaccumulate, redistribute, and just do it over and over and over. So you can grow your holdings, grow your portfolio. And if you study the most successful investors and traders of our time and of all time, you'll see that that is the strategy that they use. Now, I'm not saying they use Wyckoff exactly, but what I am saying is that don't take these charts as exact patterns. Again, these are principles of the system. So you have to read the whole thing and study it and understand how these principles are applied, because they can be applied all the way along at different points in the market. So it's all about trends, right? The trend is your friend. You want to trade with the trends and the momentum of the markets. And you can see things are up and down as you go along here. Some areas, they're just pretty much straight up. But there's always little things here and there, like this little area right in here. That could be some sort of an accumulation. So where we're at right now, you can look at this little bump over here and here, and some people are trying to draw a shoulder, head, and shoulder to this whole thing with a giant head and shoulders. We don't know where we're at. So anyways, just understand that those are all principles. They can be applied at any point along during the market cycle, not just at the top, not just at the bottom. You don't have to accumulate, distribute, and spring exactly as it says. Those are just principles that are part of the overall strategy and philosophy. And the key is to be able to spot those and know where that's happening, especially for short-term trades. And that's more what it's meant for, is a lot of the shorter term trades in bigger trending markets. I'm going to be bringing on a Wyckoff expert and making a number of videos talking about different things. Number one, Bitcoin specifically. Number two, cryptocurrency in general. And then number three, just an overall view of the Wyckoff philosophy, strategy, and exactly what I'm talking about, the difference between principles, patterns, diagrams, entry, exit points, spotting, limiting, things like that. So I will be making that video here in the next week or so, bringing on the foremost expert in the world with that strategy. And that's my goal, is to bring on the experts that have been doing this stuff, studying this stuff their entire careers, teaching it, trading it. And these are actual cryptocurrency traders, as well as experts on the Wyckoff distribution model, system, and strategy. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And the big question is, where are we headed with all this? You have the death cross coming. Everybody's talking a lot about that. So I'm not going to get into that. You probably know what that is and means by now. But the real question is, in terms of the market, so Bitcoin price, Bitcoin will do what it wants to do. It's trying to figure itself out right now. It's in price discovery. Okay, where is the momentum? And after a distribution and a markdown phase, you can have an accumulation where liquidity is created to drive the market down further, to again accumulate at a lower base and then start the whole process all over again. There's a number of ways that happens, but there's a lot of speculation. And what's really interesting is, you've heard the saying that the market usually does exactly what the exact opposite of what everybody expects or what you expect. When people are bullish, be bearish. When people are bearish, be bullish. And we are not in a bear market. We are in a downtrend in the cycle of the bull market, but we have not entered a bear market yet. But we are definitely trending down. And, you got to look at it on a weekly and a daily. The 1 hour, 4 hour, those types of things are different. But the weekly, daily, we're in a downtrending market, but not a bear market. So we're still in the midst of the bull market cycle until we see where it goes next. So what's really cool is, there's a lot of people expecting this to continue to trade sideways to a point and then shoot up, and then either break and go off to the races, or maybe trace back again a little bit. There's a lot of people expecting this to trace sideways for a while, then test the upper limits, or just go straight off to the races. But almost nobody is expecting it to just go sideways, or even from here, just all of a sudden shoot down without any kind of a attempt to bounce. So almost nobody's calling for that. Almost nobody expects that. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, and I'm not calling for or expecting anything at this point. I am a spectator at the moment. I don't trade on hours or anything like that. I'm momentum trades is what I do. I trade on the overall momentum of the market. I am a trend trader. I lead the market up, lead the market down. That's how I do it. So I'm not really messing around in here, although this is a good range if that's what you're doing, bouncing between 30 to 40,000 and 35 to 39 with Bitcoin. That's a good little trade you can make in there, but that's not for me. I don't have the time for that, nor the desire, but I think it's interesting. But again, a lot of people think it could either go sideways for a while, then test the upper limits before a drawdown. A lot of people think it can go from here, test the limit, just kind of shoot up and keep on the path for a while, and then maybe draw down later. But nobody is forecasting a drop from here without any test to the upside, without any kind of a recovery at all. Everybody thinks it's going to recover first before it goes down. So just something to throw in the basket there, that, again, if the saying is the markets do exactly the opposite of what you think they're going to do, nobody thinks that's going to happen. So that could be something on the table that could potentially happen before you get another accumulation, ultimately a rebound. And the big thing that nobody knows is, how long can this go on? This could go on for months. It could go on for weeks. It could go on tonight. We just don't know. So we're just going to have to sit tight and wait. But I just wanted to make you aware of two things. One, study the Wyckoff thing and understand that the principles do not dictate this pattern up here. They're two different things, and they're, two different things in different cycles of the market. And, expect the unexpected and be prepared for it. The unexpected is a straight drop from here without any kind of test to the upside. These upper ranges, anything above, we've been in that 37 to 33 range here last couple of days, especially. The interesting thing is, we did not get any kind of a bounce with the Bitcoin conference. I find that really, really fascinating. I think a lot of people expected some sort of a little bounce, but then again, The last couple of conferences didn't get that result. We have the halvings and the cycles of the halvings. It's interesting to go look at that. There's some charts out there that people are putting out on timeframes between halvings and where we are in this cycle versus the number of days it took to get to the peak of this point that we're in, and other markets from the time of the halving to the peak. And then from that peak, the downward trend until mid-cycle of the downtrend bear market to the next peak. So that's really interesting to take a look at, is those halving cycles. But anyways, that's it for today. I just wanted to bring you this one thing to kind of be on the lookout for. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's the one thing nobody expects. So you want to expect the unexpected, plan for it. You want to hope for the best, plan for the worst, and just be prepared. If you're a long-term holder and you don't care, then that's fine. But if you're buying lower to accumulate and then selling higher so that you can accumulate more, and you want to build your holdings that way, then be aware of these cycles and the potentials of what can happen. Make sure you set your limits and your stops appropriately, and don't get caught short. That's the one thing you don't want to do, is you don't want to get caught short. And it's not a good time to be doing that. So just be careful, be aware of all of the scenarios and all the different things that can happen. And take a minute, if you get a chance, go to this website if you haven't done it, and check out that Wyckoff method, and be on the lookout for these videos next week. I'm going to have, like I said, some of the foremost experts on the topic on the subject joining me in terms of the Wyckoff distribution, Wyckoff investing strategy, Wyckoff's trading strategy. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll be able to dig into that, get some good questions. I'm going to be bringing you more and more expert technical analysis, because again, I'm not a technical analyst. I follow everybody else's analysis and form my own opinions and my own trades based off of that. I don't have time to sit out here and chart things out, although I am interested, and I'd love to see everybody's perspective. And that's really my entire career, whether it's been real estate, business, markets. And I've been in the markets since all this began in terms of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. Well, not since the very beginning, but probably going back to like 2013, 2014. And then stock markets back in 2008 and 9, when I was never in the market till it bottomed out and I jumped in. So I'm a trend investor. I'm opportunistic. Real estate market, I was in that market hot and heavy before 08, 09. I made it through it. And did very well post 2008 and 9 and all the way up till now. Same thing with businesses and companies. So I've got a very different perspective and way of looking at things. And I like to take everybody's opinion, everybody's analysis, and I like to understand where they're coming from, how they're deriving their opinions and their analysis, what data points are they using, so that I can not prove that I'm right, but prove how can I be wrong. I always want to think from the standpoint of how can I be wrong, and move forward with my investment decisions like that, versus trying to think that I'm always right and trying to prove my thesis and my strategies and my opinions to be correct. I want to think, how can I be wrong? Where can I get tripped up? How am I going to lose, so that I can accurately assess the risk, calculate the risk, and be able to withstand that if it does ultimately come to fruition and I'm wrong. And I've been wrong a lot in my career, and I've been right in my career on my investments. And hopefully the goal is to be right more often than you're wrong. And in the space of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, it is a venture capital market where a wrong decision can hurt a lot. So you want to be careful. You want to listen to all sides, take all opinions, analysis, thesis into perspective, and always ask, how am I wrong about this? And that will help protect you on the downside.